we are joined by none other than the CEO of NITI Aayog, Mr. Amitabh Kant. Mr. Amitabh Kant, thanks very much for joining in, sir, on CNBC TV 18. And many congratulations to you, sir, for pulling off an event of this scale. We had a lot of CEOs who spoke with us soon after the meeting took place. The mood was clearly upbeat. And importantly, sir, this meeting coming less than a week after the Prime Minister addressed young CEOs, some of the young CEOs, some of the younger entrepreneurs in India. What, according to you, sir, was the big takeaway from this first-of-a-kind industry-government meet?
I think, firstly, all the CEOs have themselves worked very hard on various presentations which they made to the Prime Minister. So both the young entrepreneurs and the startups made 6 presentations, and the young CEOs today again made 6 presentations, and they've been working on this for the last 10 days. And they've spent about, each one of them has spent over about 10 hours giving its contribution to this. So the presentations were excellent presentations. They looked at India, from a futuristic perspective on what we need to do for taking India to a high trajectory growth rate, what we need to do in terms of job creation, what we need to do in terms of income enhancement, and what are the structural changes required. And virtually the whole cabinet was there. The entire bureaucracy, the top layer of the bureaucracy was there. So this was really an interaction between the Prime Minister, his entire cabinet, the top bureaucracy, and about close to, in 2 different lots, over about 200 bureaucrats on each day. So we've had a vast number of inputs coming in from the private sector to take India forward.
Right.
And I think the big takeaway
kind of time. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Sir.
I think the big takeaway is that all of them have gone back very, very inspired, very motivated, and I think all of them want to contribute to nation building. And as the Prime Minister has said, that we are planning to institutionalize this, and based on their recommendations, some of them we can take them forward with executive decisions, some of them in terms require policy tweaks, some would require us to work in partnership with the states, and so we look forward to analyzing and examining this over the next few weeks and taking all their recommendations forward for implementation. And we will be creating an institutionalized setup. Yeah.
Oh, that's great to know. And so since there were several subgroups that were created, Make in India was one, agriculture was the other one, and considering the government's thrust on agriculture to double farmer incomes over the next 4 to 5 years, what, according to you, sir, is some of the areas where the private sector can help in the government's vision of doubling farmer incomes going forward?
Well, I think several, in terms of better use of technology, in terms of ensuring that we are able to provide the seed and fertilizer to the farmer based on weather and soil condition. But the big thrust was about using technology for disruption in the agriculture sector. There was also this, the recommendations had some far-reaching suggestions as well on how APMC Act is holding India back in agriculture, how we need better seeds, how we need more timely fertilizer. Many of these suggestions, we'll work on them and push them hard. Agriculture is essentially a state subject, but we'll need to work very hard with the states to push the agriculture suggestions.
Mr. Kant, in terms of the reforms that are actually needed, in terms of the changes that are actually needed, based on the conversations today, what stands out and what are the areas that you're likely to look at implementing in terms of reforms?
I think several suggestions. There are vast number of ones on world-class infrastructure. The outstanding presentation on infrastructure today. I think there was another one on fixing the financial sector. Several very far-reaching suggestions have been made. And this would require us all in government to sit together, the senior officers to sit together and examine which are the ones which we can quickly take forward for implementation. But the good thing was that, I think the amazing thing was that private sector come in without any baggage of or reservations about any particular issue. So they've made some very good suggestions, and it's for us really to work on it and take them forward. And they've also taken into consideration, areas on which government has moved forward already. So I think combining all that together, I think we'll have a very good set of reforms on each one of the areas which they've considered. I think over the next few days, we'll do this. We'll analyze, examine, and push for change.
All right. So, in conclusion, I also wanted to ask you, because it seems that even later this week, NITI Aayog will be, having an event. And I think over there also you have invited some, sort of top industry leaders. What is notable here is what you've also talked about, how you're going to sort of institutionalize these sort of interactions that the government at the, at the higher echelons of government, they have with the private sector. How often can we have, these sort of, a PM interacting with the industry? Because PM, of course, I mean, his time is precious. So, I mean, how often can we expect this going forward?
Well, pretty often, because the important thing is to have an open mind, keep taking inputs from the private sector. Government should never be a closed body. And a couple of days later, we are releasing our 3-year action plan. Again, we'll have several people from the state, several from the private sector. And I believe that the government, the bureaucracy, the cabinet ministers, private sector, all of us need to work as a team. And Prime Minister's intention was to make everybody work as a team together. I mean, and today never before has it happened that government works so closely with the private sector and getting suggestions and taking their suggestions so seriously forward for implementation.
Mr. Kant, just taking from the point that I mentioned earlier, in terms of implementation, is there anything that we can see in the near term?
Yeah, plenty on infrastructure, plenty on finance, plenty on agriculture, a lot of it, because I think all the secretaries were there as well, and the Prime Minister has made it very clear that we'll take these suggestions forward for implementation.
How soon,
so
Mr. Kant?
you'll have a lot of action in due coming days.
How soon would that be, Mr. Kant?
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Kant, I was asking how soon do you think there could be something?
Well, pretty soon. I think you should just give us a couple of weeks, couple of days, and I think about 2 weeks' time, we need to crystallize some of the suggestions made, and we need to sit together to see. Because many of them are in multidisciplinary and multi-departmental in nature, but the Prime Minister's intention is to see how fast, how quick, and how, because we need to maintain the momentum of their enthusiasm as well. So if we are not able, if we don't take decisions, don't implement them, we lose their momentum as well. So we need to carry that enthusiasm, that momentum, and that huge spirit of change and their energy, vibrancy, and dynamism forward. And that can continue only if the government performs as well. So we are all committed to change.